When you check out at the pharmacy, you see the journey from idea to medicine, thanks to our intellectual property system, or IP for short. IP safeguards inventions, like a new way to prevent seizures or lower cholesterol. And IP supports competition from other brands, then lower-cost generics, which are 90% of prescriptions filled in the U.S. Innovation, competition, lower costs, thanks to IP. Learn more at phrma.org/IP works wonders.
This is Optimal Finance Daily. The more runway you have, the safer you are. By Barney of the escapeartist.me. My dad once learned how to fly a microlight, a flying contraption that looks a bit like a hang glider attached to a lawnmower. It's probably not the safest hobby you could choose. He learned to fly this thing at a rustic airstrip, which by all accounts was just a grass field with a hedge at the end. The hedge marked the boundary of the field and the point by which you had to have achieved takeoff or crash headfirst into the hedge. To get airborne, you needed to start from a standstill at the other end of the field and then go full throttle, bumping along, gathering speed with the stick pulled back until you got up enough speed and enough altitude to achieve liftoff and clear the hedge. The moral of this story is that the more runway you have, the safer you are. In your personal finances, you can think of runway as the length of time that you could go without working. People that live paycheck to paycheck have no runway. They spend everything that comes in, go overdrawn at the end of every month, and juggle credit cards. They end up paying interest at more than 20% on credit cards and more than 40% on overdrafts. We've all done it at some point, but it's a terrible way to live. It makes you incredibly fragile. The smallest gust of wind can bring down the whole house of cards. If you're in debt, your compounding machine is stuck in reverse gear. This is how people can get trapped in poverty. You need to have a margin of safety in your life. Just as engineers build bridges that would hold the weight of not an average car, but of the heaviest truck, you need some room for error in your calculations, some redundancy in your personal finances in case of redundancy in your career. This is why a cash emergency fund of, say, 3 to 6 months spending sits as the base layer of a portfolio, the foundation of your financial fortress. From The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel says, quote, "A small amount of wealth means the ability to take a few days off of work when you're sick without breaking the bank. Gaining that ability is huge if you don't have it. A bit more means waiting for a good job to come around after you get laid off, rather than having to take the first one you find. That can be life-changing. 6 months emergency expenses means not being terrified of your boss because you know you won't be ruined if you have to take some time off to find a new job. More still means the ability to take a job with lower pay but flexible hours, maybe one with a shorter commute, or being able to deal with a medical emergency without the added burden of worrying about how you'll pay for it. Then there's retiring when you want to instead of when you need to. Using your money to buy time and options has a lifestyle benefit few luxury goods can compete with." End quote. What's your runway? To calculate your runway, you first calculate your net worth. This is the total of your financial assets minus any debts. If you wanted to be prudent, you could exclude your house and pension from the calculation to arrive at an accessible net worth. Then you divide your net worth by your burn rate. Your burn rate is your non-discretionary spending. It's the amount you need to keep the lights on, pay taxes, meet the mortgage payments, feed yourself and your family, and generally keep the show on the road. This does not need to include holidays, luxuries, or other stuff you have a choice over whether to spend or not. So if you have savings of $100,000 and an annual burn rate of $20,000, you have a 5-year runway. You get more runway or more financial security either by getting more or spending less. How much is enough? A runway of 20 times annual spending is the classic rule of thumb for calculating how much is enough never to need to work again. Reasonable people can debate the safe withdrawal rate and the exact way to calculate this, but it's better to be roughly right than precisely wrong. The more runway you have, the better, at least up to a point. But the benefits of runway are non-linear. In other words, extra runway provides huge benefits in the early stages, but the incremental benefits get smaller with more runway, and things pretty much level out after 25 times. This is the law of diminishing returns. Just as one ice cream is fun to eat, but you don't get a lot of extra value from your 25th ice cream of the day. It is huge to go from having no runway to having the ability to take a year off. It's a big deal to go from 0 to 1 year's runway. But just going from 25x to 26x shouldn't really change your life much. This is why I say once you have enough runway, whatever that might be for you, and are happy working on your own terms, you've won the game. You just listened to the post titled, "The More Runway You Have, the Safer You Are," by Barney of the escapeartist.me. And now a word from our sponsors at Betterment. When investing your money starts to feel like a second job, Betterment steps in with a little work-life balance. They're an automated investing and savings app, which means they do the work. While they build and manage your portfolio, you build and manage your weekend plans. While they make it easy to invest for what matters, you just get to enjoy what matters. Their automated tools simplify the complex and put your money to work, optimizing day after day and again. So go ahead, take your time to rest and recharge, because while your money doesn't need a work-life balance, you do. Make your money hustle with Betterment. Get started at betterment.com. That's BETTERMENT.com. Investing involves risk, performance not guaranteed. You sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them. In fact, I learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. Thanks to Rocket Money, you can see all your subscriptions in one place and cancel the ones you're not using anymore, saving more money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. See all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money's going. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/OFD today. That's rocketmoney.com/OFD. rocketmoney.com/OFD. As someone with a long runway, I can tell you that just having the money might not be enough to make you feel safe. You also have to work on the emotional aspects of allowing your money to play the role of safety net. Many of us feel that we need to protect our money, and it can be difficult to allow our money to protect us from situations we don't want to be in. And that's where it's extremely helpful to move from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. I put up with an awful new boss for a whole year while I was sitting on a year's worth of cash in an emergency fund. It wasn't until it became abundantly clear that I was no longer valued and that I was being treated unfairly that I finally had the courage to quit. My money allowed me to leave on principle without another job lined up, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't a difficult decision. My scarcity mindset told me that it would be difficult to find another high-paying job, that I worked in such a niche industry that it would take too much time to transition to something else, and that I wouldn't find something that would allow me the flexibility to continue doing this podcast or building the economy conference. Thankfully, I have many friends who live expansive, unconventional lives that helped me move to a more abundant mindset. They reviewed my numbers with me, assisted in thinking through worst-case scenarios, and helped me see that I have more than enough money. I came to realize that I don't need a six-figure income when my expenses are so low. So even if it takes me a while to figure things out, that's okay. Shifting to an abundance mindset showed me that I've got an incredible opportunity ahead of me if I'm willing to use my money to take a big bet on myself. And thankfully, it's working out well. And I'm sharing this to acknowledge that there are a lot of emotions to work through when you're used to your income being your security rather than the safety net of the money you've saved and invested. And that's another episode of Optimal Finance Daily. Thank you for your support and for listening every day, of course. Have a great day, and I'll be back with another post for you tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.